capabilities as its owners drive it. It's a lovely thing to feel like the car is wrapped around you and you just think your way around the road. You know, if you buy a conventional car, your interaction with the people that made it has ended at that point. If you buy one of these cars, your interaction has only just begun.
It would help if I bring the microphone out, wouldn't it? Good evening, good afternoon. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome. My name is Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. It's been such a long time since I've done this that I even forgot my catchphrase. Welcome to the Transport Evolved special launch coverage event for the Tesla Model 3. It's the car that a lot of Tesla fans say should have really should define the company, should make this transition for Tesla between a boutique expensive automaker and a mainstream automaker. Other people say it's the car that will revolutionize the world forever. Some may disagree, but we're here today to cover the event live. It's probably the most important auto reveal I've ever covered, and I'm not saying that because it's Tesla, just because of the amount of hype that's been connected with it. I've been writing about cars now for some time, and quite frankly, this is the biggest event I've ever been to. Went to the Washington Square Mall in Portland, Oregon earlier on today. There were over 300 people queuing in line to put down $1,000 for a car that they haven't even seen yet. Just let that sink in. Putting down $1,000 for a car that hasn't even been revealed yet. That's what we're doing here tonight. In about 20 minutes time, the big reveal should start. We say in about 20 minutes time because we are talking about Tesla and we are talking about Mr. Elon Musk, who is notoriously late. Someone who is never late is the wonderful Chelsea Sexton, who's joining me here today. Hello, Chelsea. How are you?
What could be wrong?
So, listen, it's been a really long time since you and I last chatted. So we used to have a regular show on Transport Evolved. I think I know how to fix that. The reason why, please excuse me, every time I switch, I think what's happening is that the audio is misbehaving. So what I'll do in a second is I'll go through and add the audio channel, and then you won't lose the audio. That was totally my mistake. I've got a fantastic friend looking after the chat room, and she's telling me off. I told you I was out of practice.
Everybody needs that friend.
So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing videos. Please excuse me. Someone's still trying to call me. I don't know who that is. Whether it's someone trying to tell me that it is the Tesla live event and I should be paying attention, I don't know. But in a second, I think I might have to take my cell phone and put it on silent alert. So Tesla's Model 3, Chelsea, what are we expecting?
We are expecting a lot of hype. I am still rooting for Volcano Lair. And the bingo.
Oh.
No, I mean, we have a general idea of what it is. It's $35,000 base price, although I think many of us are expecting an actual, equipped car to be a fair amount more than that. 200, 225 miles of range, 60, 65 kilowatt hours. And Tesla's known for making cars that are generally pretty and good performance. So I don't think it's going to deviate significantly from that. It's more, we all want the details. Give us the nerdiness.
And the nerdiness is coming. Don't worry. We're watching a stream here. These are the videos that Tesla. I'm going to fade this up a little bit. We were watching it beforehand. This is a series of videos that Tesla has commissioned. And it's really the first advertising that Tesla's ever engaged with. Now, this started, about 6 weeks ago in earnest, Chelsea? What does this tell us about the way that Tesla's going to be marketing the Model 3 compared to the S, the X, and before them, the Roadster?
Well, the main difference is Tesla's going to have to market the Model 3. And whatever cars come after that. They've gotten away with mostly PR as marketing. Certainly the customers have done the vast majority of it. And their PR strategy tends to be Elon tweeting most of the time. So they've gotten away with not having to do a lot of actual planned marketing. And that's going to have to change. Regardless of how many orders they get today and tomorrow, they're going to reach a point where it's not just about fulfilling, these back orders and these queues, but actually having to go out and grow the customer base.
So let's talk for a second about those, orders, because I was at the Washington Square Mall in Portland, Oregon earlier on today. It's where we now live, for those who've not been following the Transport Evolved's move from the UK to the US. And there were about 300 people in the queue. There were tales of the mall staff turning people away, at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. People weren't allowed to actually start queuing there until 5 a.m. So when I rocked up at sort of 7:30, 8 o'clock to start covering the event for Transport Evolved, there were people who really were still arriving. They were still kind of trying to figure out where they were in the queue. But other places around the world, we saw queues around the blocks, places like Vancouver in Canada, in Australia. We've seen this phenomenal length of queues. And the interesting thing I think that I'd like to point out here is that we're not seeing a huge number of people who necessarily are Tesla fanboys and fangirls. We're seeing that, yes, but we're also seeing people who've never purchased an EV before. And
sure, but that doesn't mean they're not also Tesla fanboys.
It might be Tesla fanboys and fangirls. But I mean, so what you're saying is this car needs to be marketed to the mainstream buyers, who were the people who kind of stopped everyone at the mall today and went, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, and not just this car, but, obviously we've had some pent-up demand for all electric vehicles and obviously for Tesla for the last few years. And as we all talk about this, quote, mainstream EV, and it's arguable how mainstream any of the, Model 3 or Bolt or whatever, at $35,000, it's still not accessible to a lot of people. But It's the closest thing we've seen so far to a mainstream EV. And, in the volumes that everybody's looking at wanting to sell these, 50,000 units a year or more, it's going to ultimately require some actual marketing and some engagement with the customers and ongoing care and feeding. And I mean, that's one area in which I really have been dying to see Tesla get a little bit more engaged with its own owner base, because they've been out there doing all sorts of things for years, but it's not co-created with Tesla at all. And in some cases, almost in spite of Tesla. So they could be doing so much more. And even just watching all those lines around the block all night long, it was sort of like, at every store, someone from Tesla kind of should have been out there with them and sort of joining their own party and being there along with all these people that are waiting all these hours just to hand them lots of money. And yet they've never allowed or created that kind of a relationship with their owner base. And I think that's a huge missed opportunity, especially as they do cross into this area of needing to actually do more marketing. As rabid fans as the Tesla owners are, it could be that much more so.
Yeah, and I think it's a very valid point. I mean, we've seen some stonking adverts over the years that we've had that have been completely fan made. People who are animation students, people who are running their own production companies, they've all been thinking about what shorts can we produce. Oh, I know. Let's do a Tesla event. Let's do a Tesla video, promote Tesla. And I think that we are going to see a change there. But Tesla's already kind of cornered the luxury car market. It's already a well-known brand in that segment. So how long do you think it's going to take for people to realise that the 3 exists?
Well, I think not that long. And I think the 3 is still, it's at least entry premium. I mean, it's not a Camry or a Civic or whatever. I mean, it's not that kind of a vehicle. So it's not going to be an economy car as most of the car buying public would define that. But it certainly is, orders of magnitude less expensive than the Teslas we've seen so far, hopefully.
Now, I'm looking at the chat room. I'm kind of trying to watch through here at the moment. And for those who've watched the streams before, welcome back. For those who are watching the stream for the first time, I do apologise. This is not our usual Transport Evolved studio. This is my home in Portland, Oregon, because we haven't yet got a studio in the US. And if you'd like to help us get one, you can support us by going to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. We are a completely independent, zero ad website. So we don't have any adverts. We don't have any kind of sponsored content. We don't have any advertorials or anything like that. We are a completely independent reader supported site. Now, we switched over about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, to that model, and it's worked very, very well for us. We're very happy with it, and we hope that you will consider supporting us at patreon.com/Transport Evolved. I wanted to get that in before we started, but also as a way of explaining some of the noises in the background, because I now live in an open plan house. Trying to do a live broadcast in an open plan house with dogs and people, it's one of those things. There's lots of noise in the background. I can hear it, so I know that people at home can. Let's go to the chat room and let's see some of the things that are being talked about. So one of the things that's being discussed on a fairly regular basis is the price and the range. One of the interesting comments is that someone says that they think the Leaf, the second generation Nissan Leaf, will probably be a similar kind of price and range. I think I'm inferring from that. Tesla has not really looked, I think, towards Nissan as a direct competitor, but now it's going to have to, isn't it, Chelsea?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all sort of expect the Model 3, the Bolt, and the Leaf to land, at least in terms of base pricing, in roughly the same area. I tend to believe that the Model 3, in terms of trim levels and things, will probably go higher than the other two, but that remains to be seen. Nissan is in a really interesting spot because, those that want a affordable EV sooner than later, it's Bolt. It's the soonest one coming towards the end of the year, give or take. Tesla's talking about Model 3 coming now as early as the end of 2017. I think some of us think that might be a little optimistic, but okay, fine. And Leaf is kind of in the middle there. We're also expecting that towards the end of 2017, but current people who want something longer range now are going to jump on Bolt. And then by the time Leaf comes around, folks are in a sandwich position for Nissan and having to develop sort of an identity and give people a reason to either re-up with another Leaf or join the Leaf party for the first time. But right now, there's so much hype around both Bolt and Model 3 that as long as they remain kind of silent, I think folks are forgetting that another Leaf is coming and that it probably will be roughly similar specs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we are in a position at the moment where there are going to be some people who will choose to go for a Nissan Leaf over a Tesla. Other people will pick the Tesla because they want the badge. And I think some people, I mean, I personally, I look at the Tesla, I look at Teslas generally, they're lovely cars, but they are luxury cars. They're like the BMWs of the world and the Audis. And some people just don't feel comfortable having a car that expensive that they drive around in, even if it's a $35,000 car. We've got a new friend joining us, a regular here. I'm just waiting for him to bring his video up for me because it's butt crack of dawn for him. And he is Mr. Gavin Kiwi EV Shoebridge in Bratislava. Good morning, Gavin.
Dobre ráno, as they say in Slovakia. Good morning.
Yes, and we've got great video for you there as well.
Yes. Well, I can't see you. I'm just still getting my computers logged up.
Unfortunately, we had our previous Transport Evolved setup. We used to have a really nice computer that allowed us to, I mean, this is a 6-computer setup on a good day, and we had a lovely computer that we used to be able to feed video back to everybody. Unfortunately, It has passed. It's been read its last rites. Of the computers that made the trek across the Atlantic Ocean, through the Panama Canal and up the Pacific Ocean, it died en route. Every time we turn it on, it just reboots itself. So it is 10 years old. It's a Mac Pro. It's kind of done its thing. So I'm afraid it's back to the old way we used to do it, Gav, where I can see you, but you can't see me. So how are you anyway? How the devil are you, my dear?
Very, very good. Still waking up. I just have a cup of coffee here, so bear with me as my brain brings me into the 21st century.
Which brings us nicely done to it's kind of a thing I suggested earlier on, and I want the chat room to help us out with this. I suggested that we had something of a drinking game. Now, I'm not suggesting that we have alcohol at this time of day. Well, not for you. I've got water because I'm dehydrated because I haven't done much today. But we're going to be watching the Tesla live stream in a bit, and several people have said, are we going to be talking over Mr. Elon Musk? Of course not. What do you take us for? We will be covering the event. So basically, we'll fade out. We'll be watching. We'll keep our mouths quiet. We might have a little, chat off air because I can do stuff like this, you see. But you can't. This is why I use a mixing desk. But we're watching the presentation. If there's any break for some reason, because the stream breaks or anything like that, of course, we will dive in and have a little word. But I'm going to have a suggested drinking game, and I want the chat room to help out. Mr. Elon Musk does have a tendency to, obviously, he's got his favourite phrases that he has and his favourite actions. So I want us all to pick one action or one phrase that we're going to see from Musk tonight. And every time he says it, we'll take a little sip of coffee, of course, Gavin, or water.
Okay.
Chelsea, do you have anything stronger to hand?
No, I do not.
Shucks. We should have prepared you better for this. So if you're watching on the west coast of the US and you're watching in the live stream, please feel free. As long as you're not going to be driving anytime soon. Grab your favourite beverage. Let's have some fun. So, Chelsea, you're starting. One of Mr. Musk's phrases.
Oh, no, I am so not going there.
Gav, are you going to go there?
Chat room nominate.
Well, to be honest, this is the first time I've watched. I'm not a Tesla fanboy, so this is the first time I've actually watched a Tesla press release.
That was Gavin Shoebridge there from Bratislava. Thanks for joining us today, Gavin. I hope you have a great time in the rest of the day. So we're gonna need some. Someone said revolutionary, super awesome. Are we gonna have maximum plaid, Chelsea? No. So, Gav, for those who don't know, you are a radio broadcaster in Bratislava for...
Radio Slovakia International. It's the international foreign broadcast service for the Slovak Republic.
And you do speak Slovak rather well.
Enough to survive, but it's still pretty tragic.
And you are, one of the other things that we've been talking about in the past is... you started your electric vehicle journey about the same time as I did, about 2006, 2007. We both kind of hit the YouTube world about the same time. Oh, things are changing, so we may have to cut this short. Let's just fade this up. We're going to fade up the audio. Looks like we've got stuff happening now. We've got the Tesla Model 3 logo and the date. And we've now got a Tesla image on screen. This is all really exciting. The Tesla 3, we'll come back to your starting in the EV world maybe a bit later on, Gav, but these three lines, one on top of the other, mathematical symbol means equal to. Mathematically equal to, is that correct? It's something like a super equal rather than just an equals, isn't it? Exactly equal to. Equivalent to, that's it. It's equivalent to. That's what it is. And I think, Chelsea, here's my theory, that it's been picked partly because it's equivalent to, or perhaps better than, a petrol car in terms of performance, in terms of price, in terms of specification, in terms of, driving pleasure. How do you...
I think it's a creative E.
You think it's a creative E. Gav?
So do I, because they couldn't use the E.
You couldn't use the E because Ford stole it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think
I will hear stream starts. We'll leave it like this so we can see the stream as well. But as soon as the stream starts, we'll fade it up and we'll see what's going on. We have another guest on the way, but he hasn't woken up yet, Mr. Robert Llewellyn. He did promise.
Oh yes, it's 4:30 there.
It's
at the moment,
4:30 in the
UK?
morning for him, so he, old man. We'll wait for him to join us. Maybe. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. So, so we are. Apparently, we're having some more audio problems, but I can hear the audio here. So, I'm hoping that you can all hear the audio where I am as well. Yep, we should be able to hear the audio. Someone can let me know in the chat room if that's still off, because you should still be able to hear me. Hopefully. The only audio that's faded down is the audio for the Tesla video, the Tesla audio feed, which I've got here listening in my pre-fade setup. So as soon as I hear it, I've got my finger on the thing right here. I can show you. Look, I'm gonna move my camera. This is my finger. It's on the fader, so you're not gonna miss anything. Don't worry. My other fingers are on the video switcher. So we're going to go. We're talking about your mic. My mic disappeared. But apparently it's back now. We can hear perfect. Robert Llewellyn. Someone said Jeremy Clarkson is coming. No, not Jeremy Clarkson. Robert Llewellyn. I know those two words sound very similar when they're spoken with a British accent. I'm sorry. Just one of those things. Anyway, we're back to where we were, Gav. We were talking about your first car. Which was a Tredia, wasn't it? Which I believe is a Mitsubishi.
It's an old Mitsubishi Tredia that many eons ago I wanted to convert to electricity, and I did. It took a while, but we got there in the end. And like you said, it was about the same time you were doing your electric car adventures, so our paths collided, and it's been chaos ever since.
They've ended up in broadcasting because at the same time, neither of us were kind of working professionally in the journalism world, and now we are. One more professionally than the other, I should hasten to add, Gav. I'm very impressed with your stuff. You recently interviewed a certain comedian, didn't you?
Yeah, just over a week ago, I interviewed Jimmy Carr, which was fun.
Not Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr, the comedian Jimmy Carr, British comedian.
There you go. Exciting coming up in the future.
No one famous lined up. I don't normally interview very famous people. I normally look after tech and startups and cool stuff. But I had the option to interview him, so why not? But no one famous lined up in the future. It's all smooth running. Although tonight, Friday evening, we move into our new house, finally.
Oh, fantastic. You're going to live stream it for everyone to see.
I don't know if it's that interesting, moving furniture.
So Gavin's been building a house in Bratislava. And it's a very nice, eco-friendly house with an electric car charging point, because you drive a Peugeot Ion, don't you?
Yes.
I was trying to remember which one of the Mitsubishi. Unfortunately, I keep switching back to it. But so tell us about that, because you moved to Bratislava. Bratislava's not really known for its electric cars, is it?
No, there are, at the last count in the entire Slovak Republic, of which there are 5 million people, there were just under 200 electric cars registered on the nation's roads. Now, this is for many reasons. One, the wages are very low here, the cost of electric cars is very high, and they are perceived still as either exotic toys in the case of the Tesla, or inappropriate joke-mobiles in the case of my car. So you have to be a bit of a pioneer or crazy person to get one. But it's great because in most countries, in Northern European countries, you can go into a shopping mall and be completely ignored. But here, I still turn heads just driving through a car.
Oh, we're losing you there for a second. It must be the... You obviously said something. People in Slovakia don't want to hear about your electric car, obviously.
Sort of, yeah. There are not many electric cars here.
Do you know, I'm actually really surprised. I'm watching the chat now in the YouTube stream, and we've already got to politics. We're already building a wall.
Oh gosh, they are too. Look at that.
They are. They're building a wall like Donald. I don't know. I don't know whether... I don't know what to say. You've made me speechless, internet. Just in case anyone's wondering, that is still a no-go from Tesla there. There's still nothing. We're not sure how long it's going to be, but if you're watching this for the first time, watching a Tesla event for the first time, Chelsea, you should be in for a wait, shouldn't you?
A little bit, yes. Well, I mean, waiting for the reveals and the events is not unlike waiting for the actual launch compared to the promise.
Ooh! I can't believe you just went there. You mean somebody who's placed down a deposit today might not see their car until, oh, I don't know, mid-2018?
I'm not saying it's going to be Mitsubishi Outlander late. But
oh, yeah, let's talk about that.
Tesla has yet to meet any... I mean, late launches are a kind of an auto industry thing, but Tesla certainly has been keeping...
Yeah, it's the one thing that Tesla's not managed to stop. It likes to be different to all the other automakers, but that in that way it is definitely the same. You'll see at the bottom here we've got a Twitter feed. We're just I'm just going to refresh the Twitter feed and see if anybody is watching here. People are still waiting for the stream. Waiting for the live stream of Tesla Motors announcements Remodel 3 to start. They are all waiting. I'm just going to double check here to make sure that there are no other live streams taking place. Because Tesla's done this before, the bait and switch. You get halfway through and then they switch it and then you have to switch your viewing to somewhere else. Oh, we're going! How about that for time? So, I'm going to fade our mics down and we're just going to watch. Here we go. Actually, just going to remind everybody while we're coming in here. If you want to support what we do, please consider doing so by going to patreon.com/transportevolved. We are 100% reader supported. So we really would like it if you consider donating just $1 a month, $10 a month, however much you can afford to keep us impartial, ad-free. We have 0 ads. Some of our competitors, they're sponsored by automakers, not us. We are completely independent, so let's keep it that way. Big crowd there, guys, in California, in Hawthorne at the Tesla Design Studio. Looks actually like they may have rented some space from SpaceX next door. Standing room only, and this looks like actually looks like a larger crowd, Chelsea, than we were expecting. Looks like some extra people have managed to sneak in.
That's usually the case.
Yep. Looks like Tesla's upped its game with its video production as well. Nice one, Tesla. Someone's on the phone there. Get off the phone. We know you're at the Tesla launch. You should be paying attention to the stage. Now, we should probably also note here that the majority of people, if not all of the people here at the event, are already Tesla owners. So these are people who have already got a Tesla Model 3, Tesla Model 3, Tesla Model S, or Tesla Model X. The only way you could get to be on this event would be to have a car already. I think we're going. Here we go.
Good evening, everyone here. And out there on the internet. My name is Franz von Holzhausen. I lead the design team here at Tesla. And I'm excited to welcome you to the Tesla Design Studio here in Hawthorne, California. We are here tonight to talk about Model 3. But we wouldn't be here without years of intense drive and passion from the Tesla team and leadership on an unwavering mission. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of all of my colleagues here at Tesla, it is my honor to welcome to the stage Mr. Elon Musk.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the Model 3 unveil. We have an amazing product to show you tonight. I think you're going to be blown away. But I want to start talking, just preface this by talking about why are we doing this? Why does Tesla exist? Why are we making electric cars? Why does it matter? It's because it's very important to accelerate the transition to sustainable transport. It really is. This is really important for the future of the world. We have record high CO2 levels. We recently passed over 403 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. You can see the chart, and it looks like a vertical line, and it's still climbing. And the last time there was this level of carbon concentration was 11 million years ago. Okay, that was approximately when primates started walking upright. The world was very different. We do not want to return to that situation. And what that CO2 increase results in is a steadily increasing temperature. So we've already increased by 2 degrees. In fact, that doesn't tell the whole story because the extremes of temperature increased by as much as 20 degrees. And that line is going to keep going for some time into the future. It's really important. It makes a difference if we accelerate the transition to sustainable transport. And beyond global warming, there's just the fact that combustion cars emit toxic gases. And according to an MIT study, there are 53,000 deaths per year in the US alone from auto emissions. So it stands to reason that if a vehicle is spewing toxic gas, that's obviously bad for your health. And so to address this, what we came up with at Tesla was what we call the secret master plan. So this is the first blog that I ever wrote for the company, and it was originally a 3-step. It was originally a trilogy. Now it's a 4-part trilogy, as it turns out. But we needed to figure out how could we, as a tiny company with very few resources, actually make a difference. And the only way to do this was to start small, to start with a low-volume car, which is why we started with the Tesla Roadster. So with any new technology, it takes multiple iterations and it takes economies of scale before you can make it great and affordable. So step 1 was the Roadster. The Roadster was high price and low volume, but where it really made a difference was that it showed people that it showed the world that you could make a compelling electric car. You could make a great electric car. What was unique about the Roadster was it was the first really great electric car. And before the Roadster, people thought an electric car would be slow and ugly and low range and have bad performance. And we had to break that mold. It was incredibly important to show that that wasn't true. And so we made the Roadster, which is fast, it's beautiful, it's great performance. For those of you who bought the Roadster, thank you. And we only made 500 units a year, because that's all we really could make for the Roadster. But it had a very leveraged effect. In fact, Bob Lutz, the former vice chairman of GM, actually credits the Roadster with the Chevy Volt program, which then led to the Nissan Leaf program. And really, even though we were making very few cars, it actually had quite a huge leveraged effect on the auto industry. But there was still a lot more to do. And a lot of people said, well, the Roadster is nice, but it's sort of a toy and it's very expensive, and you couldn't really make a car that people would use every day, or a car that could really compete against the great combustion sedans of the world. So we thought, okay, we're going to make the Model S. So the Model S, any of you drive a Model S? Oh, yeah. Thank you. then it's a great sedan. It can seat up to 7 people, 5 adults and 2 kids. It's tested by Road and Track and Motor Trend and others as the fastest 4-door car in history ever. And it's got great handling. It's got great technology. It's got things like autopilot, and it was rated by almost every group as the best car in its year, and by Consumer Reports as the best car ever. Yeah. And again, it was super. The reason for that is not just to achieve some superlative in cars, but to show what an electric car can do. Because nobody believed that an electric car could do this. So what was really important was to show, the reason it was important was not to achieve awards or anything like that. It was to just show the car industry, show the world that an electric car really can be the best car. That's what really mattered. And now for cars, about half the market wants a sedan and about half the market wants an SUV. So we thought, well, we'll extend the Model S platform into the Model X. Now, both of these are very important because the revenue from the Model S and the X is what's needed to develop the Model 3. So the Model 3, with very high volume and all the engineering needed to achieve the car. So the Model 3 is happening because of you. And so we actually have an S and an X on the side there, and has, of course, the Falcon Wing doors, which did cause us some challenges, but now they're working. So now, then going from the S and the X, we finally come to step 3, or the final step in the master plan, which is a mass market, affordable car. It was only possible to do that after going through the prior steps. But we're here, and we're here to show that to you tonight. So, okay. So I'm going to describe some of the aspects of the Model 3, and then we'll yeah. So let's move to describing. Well, so let's show the master plan again. Okay, so that's the master plan with steps 2 and 2.5, and now going to the Model 3. First of all, I want to start off by saying the Model 3 is going to be an incredibly safe car. We really believe at Tesla that safety has to come first. We care about you. We want you to be safe. We want your friends and family to be safe. This is paramount. The Model 3 will not just be 5-star on average, it will be 5-star in every category. And even the base Model 3 will do 0 to 60 miles an hour or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in less than 6 seconds. At Tesla, we don't make slow cars. Okay, and of course, there will be versions of the Model 3 that go much faster. All right. And in terms of range, the range will be at least an EPA rating of 215 miles. I want to emphasize these are minimum numbers. We hope to exceed them. Yeah. It will also, all Model 3s will come standard with autopilot hardware. Okay. And all the autopilot safety features will be present in every car. That you won't need to buy an option. The autopilot safety features will always be there. So. The Model 3 also fits 5 adults comfortably. Now, Now, comfortably is the important part here. Okay. But the challenge, obviously, with building a smaller car is how do you still make it comfortable with a bunch of people inside? So there are two important design steps we did with the Model 3 to achieve that. One was to move the instrument panel or the firewall. There really isn't a firewall. We don't have a big combustion engine in front. We moved the front seats forward and compressed the instrument panel. When you do your rides tonight, you'll see what I mean. You're sitting a little further forward. It actually feels great on the front seats. That's what gives you the leg room to have 5 adults. And so that your first and second row have plenty of leg room. Then on the rear roof area is actually one continuous pane of glass. And the reason that that's great is because it gives you amazing headroom and a feeling of openness. So it has, I think, by far the best feeling, best roominess of any car in this size. Then in addition, it has, just like the Model S, it has a front and rear trunks. So it has more cargo capacity than any gasoline car of the same external dimensions. And yeah, and you can actually, somebody asked me this question recently, can you fit a 7-foot-long surfboard on the inside? The answer is yes, you can. Then with respect to supercharging, all Model 3s will come with supercharging standard. So the reason supercharging is very important, as many of you know, is that it gives you freedom of travel. Okay? It means you can conveniently go where you want, how you want. And a lot about having a car is it's about freedom. It's about going where you want to go. And so the superchargers are critical to that. So we're now at the point where we've built out over 3,600 superchargers worldwide. And about the same number of destination chargers. That's present day. By the end of next year, we will double the number of superchargers. And quadruple the number of destination chargers. So you will be able to go virtually anywhere. And in fact, because the onboard charger of the Model S is able to adapt to any country's voltage and amperage, wherever you go in the world, if there's electricity, so where we are today with Tesla is we've got 215 locations in Asia, North America, and Europe. And by the end of next year, we expect to more than double that to 441 locations. So the key point being, almost no matter where you are in North America, Europe, or Asia, if you're near any even mid-sized metro area, you'll be able to buy a car and get your car serviced. So now, how are we going to make these cars? Okay, good question. We need to achieve high volume production. So this is in two parts. First, there is the vehicle factory. So our Fremont factory in the past has actually made almost 500,000 cars a year. So we're confident that Tesla can achieve that number in the future in terms of vehicle production. So I think that's going to be, I wouldn't say straightforward, but very doable. And then what about batteries? Because in order to produce 500,000 cars a year, we would actually need the same battery production. We basically need to absorb the entire world's lithium-ion production. That's why we are building the Gigafactory. These are the recent pictures of the Gigafactory. This is a vital element. So to give you a sense of scale, the Gigafactory will actually have the largest footprint of any building of any kind. Okay? Volumetrically, it will only be second to the Boeing factory in Washington. So this is really quite an enormous facility. In fact, it'll produce more lithium-ion batteries than all other factories in the world combined. In this one location. And it won't just be at that volume, it'll also be producing the most advanced cell and battery in the world. So it's the combination of high volume with the most advanced technology is what enables us to make the Model 3. And it's already operational today. So when are deliveries? Well, they're next year. So I do feel fairly confident that it will be next year. Yeah. And then in terms of price, well, of course, it'll be $35,000. And I want to emphasize that even if you buy no options at all, this will still be an amazing car. You will not be able to buy a better car for $35,000 or even close, even if you get no options. So it's a really good car even with no options. So do you want to see the car? Yeah! Well, we don't have it for you tonight. I'm just kidding, of course. It's April Fool's somewhere. All right, let's bring them out. So what do you think? You like the car? Been good? All right. And this is kind of crazy, but I just learned, just told that the total number of orders for the Model 3 in the past 24 hours has now passed 115,000. thank you. That's a lot, yeah. Thank you to everyone that ordered the car. We love you. And for those of you that are here, please enjoy your rides tonight in the Model 3. And for those online, you can order a Tesla.
Well, there you have it. That is the Tesla Model 3. I do apologise for some of the stalls that took place there during this evening's presentation. For those who missed the beginning of the stream, at Transport Evolved, we recently moved, and one of our machines didn't make the move, and we discovered that this afternoon, so we didn't have enough time to get a second machine sorted. So what you actually saw there was the stream coming through my cell phone. So I do apologise for that. And the only way of keeping the stream coming through the cell phone was to keep the wireless card open. And unfortunately, Pebcac, blame me. So, what did you think? It was quite an unusual looking car there, Chelsea.
Well, I'm about to get 115,000 people telling me how wrong I am, because as that was happening, I was just tweeting, please tell me it looks better in person.
Yeah, I'm not sold. Gav?
I don't know which car you're looking at, but it looks perfectly acceptable to me. I think it's not a bad looking vehicle.
See, gal thing. Maybe this is what it is, Chelsea. I mean, maybe you know, we were supposed to be maybe we were supposed to be driving a Model X, you and I. I don't know.
It's the Model X-iness about it that doesn't appeal to me.
No, and I don't like the front end. It looks a little bit like someone has conflated. Well, I think, Gav, you said Japanese and European and couple of other design languages all together at the same time.
Yeah. It's distinctly, there's, like you said earlier, there's Aston Martin in there, definitely. It's got a little bit of Japanese on the fronts and sides, but it's also very American and overall sort of smoothness. Americans, in my experience, like rather smooth-looking cars. So it's got a whole combination. It's something I've never seen before. This combination together, and I like unusual stuff. And like I said, I don't think it's a bad-looking car at all. It's different.
I just want to remind, we've got people chatting away in the chat room. We don't mind people chatting away and giving their reactions to stuff, but please keep it clean, because there might be kids watching.
We're smoking something, Nikki.
They are. Well, yeah, maybe we are.
No, if we don't think it looks good, we're smoking something.
Yeah, we've already had one threat of physical violence, Chelsea. Isn't that great? I can't wait, guys.
It ain't a normal day for me with that one.
Oh, yeah, no. It's something to do with women and cars. Blokes don't like women talking about cars. I don't know why. There you go. So, 115,000 orders already.
Yep.
That's a lot of cash.
Yes, and it's yet a fraction of what he'll need to actually build that car.
And it's a fraction of what Tesla needs to actually make a profit as well. That's the other thing we need to remember here, Gav. Tesla came into this with massive losses. I don't want to be a poop on the parade, but...
well, it's a fair comment, but everything that we've predicted about Tesla, well, some people have predicted about Tesla until now, over the last 10 years, has all been wrong.
That is true. Kind of sit there a little bit going, I don't know.
So I remain optimistic. Of course, I wouldn't call myself a Tesla fanboy. I don't own any of their products, but I'm aware of what a difference that they make to the general EV sphere. I mean, if it wasn't for Tesla, would we have the Chevy Bolt coming out?
I don't think so, Gavin. I mean, the Chevy Bolt is a car, obviously, that's going to be coming to market with the same kind of 200-ish mile range. But on that note, it's really important, I think, for us to remember that we are... Musk went one step further with this. He went, well, we're going to do this with a little bit more range, right? Don't you think, Gav?
I expected that, because there was some supposedly leaked details last night, and they said that the range could be up to 400 miles. So when I heard that, around 215 or at least 215 miles, I thought, oh yeah, that's okay. But I secretly hoped it would be closer to 300. But hey, 215, it's more than what my electric car does 60. So I'll take that.
Chelsea, do you know of anybody that you know? Do you know anybody who will now rush out and buy one because they've seen this event?
No.
No. Gav, do you know anybody who's going to rush out and buy one because of this event?
Well, there aren't a lot of electric car enthusiasts here in Slovakia, but I am sure there are. I'm not the only one here at the crack of dawn in the morning watching this press release. So I'm sure there are people, but I don't know any personally.
Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to order one who haven't already, but I don't think this particular reveal is what made it or broke it. I think they were probably already planning to. This kind of confirmed it. I don't think anyone's going to be hugely swayed in one direction or the other that wasn't remotely considering it, or vice versa, because of this reveal. It's roughly what we all expected. That if the rumors already had been, it's kind of a cross between an S and an X, and it absolutely is. For the most part, people have found both of those vehicles to be fairly aesthetically pleasing. So, I think the X is slightly more polarizing than the S, but universally they tend to be agreed upon as decent looking vehicles. So it is basically as built. Certainly there were phrasings around a few things that I found interesting, and everyone will wait for more information on options and trim levels, and autopilot hardware will be standard, but how much will it cost to actually use it? Supercharging will be standard,
and
but he didn't say
mention
it would be free.
No, he didn't, did he?
So there's a lot of those kinds of questions.
But I mean, there are some other really cool things that I think deserve mentioning. Tesla seems to have approached the Model 3 as an engineering exercise, I think. I mean, that's, I think, where Tesla's going to try and corner the market. We've engineered this car to be better than everybody else. I think that's going to be the most logical marketing ploy, because obviously Elon spent a lot of time talking about the safety, a lot of time about the fact that they've moved things around in the car, shoved the passengers forward, which is going to give an interesting driving position, I think, and done some stuff there with the firewall. Retained the front trunk out of the front, and the rear trunk, and moved those rear seats back a bit. We didn't get any capacities for either the front or the rear cargo area, but it's going to be interesting to see what those first ride videos are. But they are going to be coming up online very shortly, aren't they? So I think we're going to have to wait and see what they're like.
I also wonder what sort of secrets we're going to see, because, like all of Tesla's cars, they reveal something, it's amazing, we get captivated, but then over the next few months, they reveal more and more information, something that you didn't expect. So I'm kind of excited to see what secrets the Model 3 will reveal.
I think there's going to be a huge number of add-ons. I mean, Tesla has already hinted, Musk hinted, he tweeted earlier on, this is part one, part two is going to come nearer to production. There was definitely a lot of what I would call forward-thinking, forward-looking statements, Chelsea. We've done this in the past, so we can do this in the future. Numi, where the Fremont facility now is, it used to be the Numi plant, which was co-owned by, it was GM and Toyota, wasn't it? Yes. 500,000 cars a year used to be made there, so we can do that again. That was the kind of the underlying tone there from Musk. The Gigafactory on schedule. Interestingly, Gigafactory is not actually going to be finished until 2020, but it's going to be finished in stages. So we're going to see some of the Gigafactory online. In fact, some of it already is online, and we're going to see production ramped up there as production for Model 3 ramps up. But how many cars is Tesla going to have to make in those first couple of months to keep people interested? Because it can't ramp up as slowly as it did for X or S, can it, Chelsea?
Well, I don't know. More importantly, and unlike X, the first couple months they need to be making really quality cars, whatever number that requires. Because the quality issues they've had with X will not be endured on yet another vehicle of much higher volume.
Right.
So they have to sort of get their act together in that regard. If that requires going super slow for 2 months or whatever it is, and then ramping up quickly, do that versus trying to go too fast, too soon, and putting out that many more cars that have an issue. Because every single one of the cars so far has had at least one pretty endemic issue, and primarily something to do with the doors. So, hopefully the Model 3 won't have that kind of issue, but should they start to encounter that, it would be better to back off sooner and get it right.
Obviously, interior very sparse. Almost i3 in its appearance, from what I could see there. Almost a floating kind of dashboard idea there. That touchscreen display has been rotated 90 degrees, so it's now in landscape rather than portrait. Does that hint at being, the first Tesla that's really truly been designed with autopilot in mind, Chelsea? I know you acknowledge that Musk didn't say whether autopilot was going to be a feature that you had to pay a lot of money for, but it does give us the impression that Tesla's really wanting people to think of this as an autonomous vehicle from day one.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, now that they have autopilot features on Model S and X, I think they understand the expectation is that going forward, any vehicle will have at least that level of autonomy, especially a couple years down the road, and that they will get increasingly better over time. Obviously, over-the-air updates is a huge feature for Tesla, and this notion that I buy a car today, but it can get even better tomorrow, and the owners sort of describe it as almost every day is Christmas morning, because my car just keeps getting better and better. It does something today it didn't do yesterday. So, I think most folks will expect that that same type of feature will be available or become available on Model 3, and that the additions will continue to happen as well. What remains to be seen is once he starts getting into these, quote, entry-level price points, those updates, those features are not necessarily going to be free just because they're available. And, the balance of that cost versus availability will matter to people.
Interesting. We're at a very interesting crossroads here. People have, been talking to me about this for the last couple of weeks, last couple of months. Obviously, we between us. I mean, we've been driving electric cars a lot. I mean, Gav, you and I, the last 10 years. Chelsea, you make us look like noobs in the electric car world, thanks to being, one of the original salespeople for the EV1. But I can't help but feel that the Model 3, although it's a car that I'm sure will grow on me. I didn't originally like the Model X when it came out. I've seen one in the flesh. I've ridden in one in the flesh, and I'm like, you know what? The Model X is cool. I still think that the Falcon Wing doors are overkill, but it's a decent car. I don't think I'd want to own one. It's too big for me. But it's a decent car. I think the Model 3 will grow on me, but I don't feel now, and I'm gonna get yelled at by the chat room. I can already feel the burning eyes coming for me. I don't see this car being pivotal and revolutionary any less or any more than any of the other promised 200-300 mile cars coming to market, at least in its entry level form. Maybe in the higher level cars, but go on.
Well, I mean, regardless of what any vehicle, the aesthetics are going to be somewhat subjective and polarizing. We thought the Leaf was kind of bizarre too at first. We've gotten used to that.
That's true.
Now the i3 is the most polarizing EV out there. You pick any car on the road and some people really like it, some people won't. So how it looks isn't really kind of neither here nor there. Obviously the total, how it drives and the package and the features and all of that will matter a lot. But regardless of what this car turned out to be, it still is going to be pivotal because it's a Tesla. And the brand continues to be very aspirational for a lot of people, and it carries a lot of weight. And for better and worse, it will be given credit for a lot more than the car itself necessarily generates.
Yeah. All right. I think we've probably said everything we need to say, really. I think we enjoyed watching the event. enjoyed chatting about the Model 3 with you guys. Unfortunately, we didn't get our other chap on. I'm going to see if he's there before we disappear. He's not there. I think he's fell asleep, bless him. So, Mr. Robert Llewellyn, we missed you. You'll have to come on again next time. There will be another show at some point in the future. We will do our usual 10, hopefully, starting next week again. And we're back to our usual schedule, which is a Friday show called TEN. It's the week's news roundup. It's pre-recorded. It's in a studio with video, etc., not in someone's dining room come office, which is where we are right now. If you liked what you saw today and you want to keep us independent and impartial, please consider supporting us at patreon.com/Transport Evolved. Everything we do is completely reader supported or fan supported. We've got 0 ads. We've got 0 advertorials. We don't get any money from car companies. You don't get any money from advertisers or sponsors. We don't get paid for kickbacks or anything like that. Everything we do is supported by our readers. So if you want to help us, go to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. Make a pledge today. We are currently midway towards our second goal, by which point we should be able to then start bringing some more writers on board and get a more varied range of voices representing the cleaner, greener, safer and smarter world. Thanks to all the wonderful haters who are watching. I love you all. You've just made my day. It's so amazing. Chelsea, I know they've made your day amazing as well, haven't they? It just wouldn't be. Gav, I don't know why you don't get haters. You're just such a nice chap.
I don't know what's wrong with the chat room, but it's hilarious. People are asking to see my cat.
Yeah. So, whatever. This has been the Transport Evolved Tesla Model 3 special. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And until next time, keep evolving.